Nabaneeta's permission, we start small disclaimer before we begin the session. Because of the rain, we are all running late, and Nabaneeta Di was sent the car also late so that, she doesn't have to come and wait here. So thank you so much for bearing with us. A warm evening to all of you. I'm thankful to KLM and also Shoi for creating such a powerful platform of dialogues. While having my informal exchanges with Nabaneeta Di about Sita's echoes, she suggested a beautiful name. Actually, not that she suggested. She was referring the session by a beautiful name, which I can't really resist sharing with you all. She said, it is not only about Sita. It is about Ramayana. Indian urban women are retelling the Ramayana. I think that should be the holistic name for absolutely. Indian urban women are retelling the Ramayana, and who else can suggest such a wonderful name other than Nabaneeta Debshen? In 80s, she actually did the pioneer work of reconstructing Ramayana. I mean, I think even the other authors, the legendary works that we find now, they have followed Nabaneeta Debshen's thought steps. She's the person who actually started reclaiming the position of Sita and the characters around Sita with her affectionate humor. I mean, the fictionalized Sita with her affectionate humor got a completely different portrayal through Nabaneeta Di's writings. Though she never ceases to surprise us. In the same breath, Nabaneeta Di was also writing about a trans woman's journey in her Baap Re Baap. I don't know how does she travel from Sita to another person's portrayal. Oxford Sita Chilo. And also her academic writings about Sita, we get to see that in her Radhakrishnan Memorial lectures in 90s, where her strong academic positioning is clear, and we see how the trajectory from Chandrapati 16th century till our time, how the time flows with Nabaneeta Di. We have Vaidehi with us. Vaidehi, I get completely amazed, Vaidehi, when we get introduced to many Sitas. Through her subtle, sensitive sketches, she introduces us with Sitas of our time, Sitas of their time. We meet Sitas and we meet our next door women who are actually sharing the history of Sita. And we see how patriarchy, time and again, does certain conspiracies, and for certain apparent duties of patriarchy, Sitas are always dropped. Sitas are always forgotten. We see that through Vaidehi's writings in Volga. I must say, Vaidehi, again in an informal chit-chat, she was saying that she doesn't only write bold things, she is a bold person. So we have Volga with us, and I have to quote Volga in one occasion in her book, Liberation and Sita. She's writing that, Ahulla actually advising Sita, never agree to a trial, Sita. Don't bow down to authority. That's Volga. So we have this powerful women. I'm so much privileged to share this space with them. And we will follow the Shoi structure, Nabaneeta Di, that first maybe we'll start with you because you have always paved the path for us. You will read a passage, then Volga, then Vaidehi. And after the readings, we will have a very intimate adda, a very womanly adda. We will also celebrate womanhood here, and after that, of course, we will open it for the floor and we'll take the questions. So we go by that. We'll request Nabaneeta Di to read the passage.
What passage?
Story on Sita. Okay.
Namaskar, I'm so happy to be here. It's wonderful to be here with my two old friends and a young friend who's also pretty old by now, as far as friendship is concerned. And it's so wonderful to see you here, to see you all in Kolkata. Welcome to Kolkata. And now we have all worked on the Ramayana from our own points of view. I'm going to just tell you a story which most of you probably know. It's the Ramayana, the root Ramayana. That was my first story. on Sita, which was written in the 80s. Mool Ramayan was written in early 80s, and then translated and read at Columbia in 91. It was published in Manushi in 92. So I'll read bits of it. Now, Sita has been rescued from Lanka. Now, how does that happen? Sita, the Banerjee decides that Hanuman is the best one. He can jump across the sea in a jiffy. And why can't he go just pick her up and bring her back? It's simple. So that is decided. Ramchandra has no objection to it. And bowing to elderly monkeys, saluting the earth, water, ocean, wind, fire, everything, and Sri Ramchandra Hanuman was ready for his mission. In one mighty long jump, he would have to reach Lanka, 100 yojans away. He took a long and deep breath and puffed himself up by yogic power and grew and grew and grew till he was as large as a rocket. But Mount Mohindro is no Cape Kennedy. It's not prepared to withstand the effects of the rocket launches. So here the trees were yanked off by the roots and sucked into the skies on Hanuman's trail. The mountains cracked open, throwing up warm water fountains and shattering bits of rock and jetting them into the air. Heave ho, cried Hanuman up in the sky. The gods, demons, spirits, and sundry other heavenly beings burst into spontaneous applause, cheering heartily and showering flowers from heaven. You know what flowers from heaven are? Akash Kushum. So, passports and visas did exist even in those days, though they had different names. Srimati Lanka Devi was the protector and patron goddess of Lanka. She was truly Lanka's immigration officer. Grounding her in a trice with a 14-carat Hanumanli slap, the brave warrior entered Lanka with a whistle on his lips. But before coming, he knew he needed an ID card. So he had asked Ayodhyapati to give him an ID card, and he had it with him. Hanuman entered Golden Lanka, was so astounded that he froze in mid-breath. Even the whistle died on his lips, which were now parted in amazement. The riches of Kishkinda were not to be scoffed at, but Lanka could only compare with Mohedanov's golden Hastinapur and Indra's court up in the heavens. He wandered around happily like a tourist, forgetting the purpose of his visit. At one point he found himself in front of a royal palace. My God, he remembered, Sita. And he leapt over the boundary wall to enter. The gods in heaven lose their heads when they see Ravan's palace. And this was just a Hanuman from the jungles. When he entered the dreamy sleeping quarters, he saw what exquisitely beautiful young companions surrounded the huge moustached, 10-headed great Ravan as he lay in deep sleep with 20 powerful arms wrapped around 10 beautiful women. Hanuman watched, wonderstruck. Then it suddenly struck him, good Lord, it was not proper for a bachelor monkey of impeccable character to cast eyes on sleeping female bodies. Wait, who's that asleep on the golden bed, just to the left of King Ravan? That's Sita Devi herself. Behold her sparkling golden skin, her wavy hair dark as the monsoon clouds, bedecked with jewel, perfection of her limbs, her soft full fingers, my God, that is Sita. Body, the clothes a little disheveled, of course, because clearly she had fallen asleep in the throes of revelry. Staring with great adoration, Hanuman reflected that Sita Devi was pretty well off here. Why should she want to return to beds of straw, meals of fruits, and forest swamps? Let her be here where she's happy. All said and done, Ram was, to be honest, a king without a kingdom, dressed in rags, matted hair. He didn't even have an ounce of Ravana's glamour and masculinity. Look at him. All the time in a flood of tears, endlessly wailing, ah, Sita, oh, Sita. And Ravan radiates vigorous masculinity. It was only because Hanuman was a stout devotee of Ram and an honest person that he didn't transfer his loyalties to King Ravana. But he did wonder if Sita would return. Then he suddenly remembered that Ravan was not a man of good character. A man who makes off with others' wives is a thief and a mischief maker. Sita Devi is a famous Sita Lakshmi. She is the symbol of chastity and conjugal purity. Was Hanuman making a mistake somewhere? He looked closely. Hanuman left the palace, deciding to make a round of the groves. Traveling 100 yojans was no joke. He strolled into the orchard, plucking fruits and gobbling them up. He chucked peeled skins and seeds all over the place just to make the place dirty. Even if he can't get Sita back, he wants to create some disharmony in Ravan's well-tended garden. Suddenly he spied a unique grove of ashok trees in the distance, dazzling with flaming red flowers. One leap and he was in the grove, not to eat but to play monkey tricks. He began to rip off bunches of leaves and flowers, destroying the groves. But the Sita was found or not, at least Ravan's forest wealth should be destroyed. All of a sudden, beneath an ashok tree, he saw, hair loose, dressed in rags, a veritable goddess. But this goddess had her feet firmly fixed on the ground, and her eyes were raining tears. Hanuman couldn't tear his eyes away. What a halo of beauty glowed around her, thin with starvation, hair uncombed, eyes puffy and red with crying. No jewelry, except a single anklet around one ankle, whose matching pair Hanuman had seen in Rama's possession. Hanuman began to chatter in glee. In undiluted joy, he jumped from branch to ground to branch, up and down, up and down. Such monkeying around startled Sita out of her weeping, and she shifted her gaze at him. Moment she did so, Hanuman took a flying leap and landed right in front of her. He prostrated himself and said, "Oh mother, I am your husband Ramachandra's servant, Hanuman. I've come to escort you back to your husband. Please climb on my shoulder. I'll cross 100 yojans in a minute, much faster than Ravan's flying chariot Pushpak, and deliver you to the lotus feet of Sri Ramchandra in the blink of an eye." Hanuman's excited declaration left Sita gaping and in open-mouthed disbelief. What was the monkey saying? Was he a mad monkey? Tetanus, hydrophobia. God alone knows what else. Oh dear, as it is, she had to deal with a mad demon all the time. Now there seemed to be a mad monkey as well. Or was this more that idiot demon's monkey business? Oh, like last time, now he is disguised as a monkey. Sita promptly wiped her eyes and said, shoo, shoo, go away, scat, scram, bata demon. Why have you come to bug me again? Hanuman smiled. Oh, goddess mother, don't be deluded. He said sweetly, here, look at this ring. Do you recognize it? Taking the ring in her hand, Sita burst into tears. Just to be sociable, Hanuman too cried along with her. After having shed a few rivers of Anandosru, Sita asked about the well-being of Ram. And Hanuman said, Mother, let's not delay any longer. If the demonesses wake up, we'll have to waste time in needless conflict. Don't be afraid. Just get a firm grip on my shoulder and sit on my back. Sri Ramchandra has become rather restless. He doesn't bathe, doesn't eat, sleep or rest. He is all the time yelling at Lakshman and beating his breast. If we don't act fast, he may well end up as a basket case. Hearing that, Sita quickly hitched up her sari, tucked it around her waist, and in a flash, she was up on Hanuman's back. Then let's go, Hanuman, my son, she said. Like a shot, Hanuman puffed up as big as a rocket, and with a mighty heave-ho, he took off. His supernatural leap created a tremendous friction in the air and sky, and golden Lanka burst out into flames. Hanuman wove a translucent web of illusion, Mayajal, around himself so that Sita Devi would be invisible. Then he crossed 100 yojans like a speck of snuff to his supersonic speed, picking up Sita. Then, of course, with much fanfare, the monkeys take Sita to Ram in a palanquin. Before that, they do a lot of other things. Picking up Sita and placing her on her left knee, Ram began to carefully arrange the strands of her hair that had tumbled onto her forehead and whisper sweet nothings. Sita blushed right down to her throat. When chattering this blissful interlude to 1,000 pieces, a Valmiki, an anthill, it was just around the corner, stirred. And from within this Valmiki emerged a sage, mad with fury, cursing and condemning Ramchandra, his eyes livid. Valmiki said, shame on you, progeny of Dasharath, Lord of Lakshmi. Sri Narayan himself in the form of lotus-eyed Sri Ram. Does this become you? First, you lose all sense of balance, grieving for Sita. Then you get a monkey to rescue Sita. And then you're here, cooing like a pair of turtle doves. May I ask one question? How the war between Ram and Ravan is supposed to take place now? Preparation of this great war had been brewing since Krita Yuga and Treta Yuga. The universe is on the verge of sinking with Ravan's sins. Now, how will Dharma be restored? And how on earth will I write the Ramayana? Having successfully reduced Ram to a jelly, Valmiki turned to Sita. And you too, Mother Sita, he began. Congratulations, an auspicious royal daughter and daughter-in-law. You didn't feel the tiniest bit of shame or hesitation while clinging to the neck of a burnt-faced monkey. Didn't you even tremble at the thought of touching another male? Unlike Ram, Sita Devi was not the type to take things lying down. She flared up like phosphorus. Mind your language, sage sir. What's another man among animals? Is a monkey human? I have ridden horses in my father's house. I've gone for fresh air, riding elephants in my father-in-law's. There was no sin in that. But when I ride on a monkey's back to come back to my husband from the house of enemy, that suddenly becomes a sin. Why? Just because I have not been smothered by an anthill. Do you think I have no clue about what is right and what's wrong? Do not underestimate a woman who is not born from the womb. Dear sage, think twice before you weave your arguments. The monkey, Hanuman, whose shoulder I sat on, is like my son. He calls me mother. Alas, blind superstitions. What if anthills have given you status of sage, where you are no more than a robber? Remember, your mind's just as impure as it used to be. Valmiki was dumbfounded. Rage addled his brain. He began to stutter and stammer. Ramchandra smelt doom. If the epic poet begins to stammer and stutter, how will the epic ever be composed? Okay, let's not go into all that. He said hurriedly, now tell me, Sita, what should be done? We should do something. Tell me. It's true. In the operation to rescue you, I was scheduled to destroy Ravan and re-establish the one true dharma on earth, sky and netherworld. But now, how does one go about saving the universe? Really, everything has been upset. Sita's bow-shaped brows arched in a sharp scythe. What's upset, Arjodeb? He said. Why are you going by anthill sage's ramblings? I'll set everything right, okay? So there have been a couple of slips. But that doesn't mean that can't be rectified. There's hardly a mile between Mount Mahindra and Ashoka Grove. Only 100 Trojans. I had just about got on when it was time to get off. We'll reach in a twinkling of an eye. Come on, son Hanuman, let me get on your back again. I'm sure those lazy demonesses are still asleep. But don't you delay the rescue. You, my lord, don't you delay the rescue. Come save me swiftly, brother-in-law Lakshman. Okay, come my son Hanuman, let's go back to Lanka, huh? And decimating Valmiki with a single look, Sita turned away. As you say, mother, said Hanuman, victory to Sri Ram. Valmiki watched, teeth on edge, and said to himself, muttered to himself, so you are a spirited female, eh? All right. I too am Mahakavi Valmiki. I'll see how you get away. Whispering sweet nothings, cradled in your husband's lap, eh? We'll see. Just you wait. He who wields the pen orders the future. And we know what happened to Sita.
Excellent. I mean, it's really difficult to again say any word after this, Nabaneeta. We see when Sita was claiming her pleasure, how she's now being destined to be punished again. The conspiracies continue and we continue our session. Acha, Volga, Vaidehi wants to read her story first. Okay, so we go by Volga and then Vaidehi. We'll take some time of listening to the stories and after that we will be opening up for the discussion. That is fine.
Handling my
Right. Okay. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Good evening, everyone. I am really happy to be here with my favorite, respected author Nabaneeta ji and also Vaidehi and friends of Kolkata. And I'm really happy that I came into the literary world of Bengal and Kolkata because from my childhood I am growing reading Sarat Chandra and Rabindranath and Asha Purna Devi's novels, stories and all that. And I believed in my childhood when I was 10 years old, that Saras Chandra was a Telugu writer, not a Bengali writer. So here I came with that link to the Bengali literature, and now the link with Nabaneeta ji, that bond became very strong. And before reading, I read only a few passages, but before reading, I want to share my thoughts why my stories about Sita I have written. I have written 5 stories. In 5 stories, Sita interacts with other women like Surpanaka, Ahalya, Renuka and Urmila. Why I picked up these characters and why I wrote Ramayana again in my own imagination and in my own words, I explain a bit and then go to the text. My stories about Sita are like as a discourse on power. And in this process, I never forget the power of discourse also. How power manifests itself, by what means it exercises, is an important question to explore. Rama realized his power at a very young age by going with Vishwamitra and kill the Dravidian kings called Rakshaks, popularly known as Rakshasas. They are really Rakshaks of Dandakaranya who protect Dandakaranya. Many of us understand Ramayana as a war between Rama and Ravana, a war of good against evil, a war about conquering lands and empires. Of course, a war is for power. But in my stories about Sita, I try to understand it differently. For me, power itself is a war. Power itself is a war continued by other means, an unspoken warfare, silent secret war that reinscribe conflict in various social institutions, in culture, economic inequalities, in languages, and finally in the bodies themselves of each and every one of us. In these stories, I try to explore that power and that war within oneself through the character of Sita. Other characters, Surpanaka, Ahalya, Renuka and Urmila, also undergone this process before Sita and helped Sita to attain power over her own self. I also tried how the ideas of discipline and punishment contribute on the evolution of power systems. How each woman, Surpanaka, Sita, Ahalya, Renuka, Urmila, were undergone to these patriarchal power systems of disciplining and punishing. This concept of disciplining women and punishing women for various reasons. Why these characters? Why from Ramayana, the great epic I took to explore this concept? I quote here Sitakant Mohapatra. He once told, in an epic, the story does not end. In a true sense, its end is its beginning. So, these characters of Ramayana extended themselves into the contemporary context and put an extended reality before us. Now we can see how women are disciplined and punished every day, every minute. I need not name the kind of violences they are facing, struggling, and rising above the flames of violence victoriously like Sita. Yes, the context is as old as Ramayana and as new as Nirbhaya. So, these characters from my stories flow into our place and times from the times they are previously disdained. Another and most important idea of my writing these stories is to put feminist sisterhood before the readers. That sisterhood is very important for me and for every one of us. Brotherhood is always glorified in epics, religion, family, and in every aspect of socio-cultural angles. But sisterhood never praised, always heckled, and told that it is impossible. In a way, it is impossible because patriarchy, like colonialism, divide and rule. So, bringing forth that glory which is rejected from centuries is my main idea in forging friendship between Sita and Surpanaka. After making a friendly bond with the Surpanaka, Ahalya, Renuka and Urmila, Sita got a sense of belongingness. That belongingness turned into consciousness, that is the Chaitanya, and that Chaitanya or consciousness gave her a perspective, and that became like a declaration of how her future life will go on. Another point I tried to make is women embracing nature and rejecting the so-called civilization of the cities and empires. Surpanaka understands her inner self in this dichotomy of nature and civilization. Rejecting the war-based city-centered civilization is one of the qualitative change in feminist literature. So, now women are struggling not only on outer world but within themselves. So they are silently rejecting many things. Sita is a symbol from many centuries for rejecting the power of Rama silently and be peaceful within herself. Now I read from my story, Music of Earth. This is a friendship between Ahalya and Sita. Sita heard about Ahalya for the first time from Rama after their marriage. Within 2 days, when Rama is boasting himself about how he killed the demons in Dandakaranya with Vishwamitra, and then Sita suddenly stopped him and asked, "You are always talking about killing, murdering. Why don't you tell me some beautiful things?" Then Rama told her, no, I saw a very beautiful woman in that forest. Sita asked curiously, "Who?" "Ahalya. But she is not a good woman," Rama told. Then he stopped. "Don't ask further questions, you don't understand, you are still a young girl." And he didn't tell the story of Ahalya. But Kaushalya tell the story of Ahalya to Sita. And Kausalya told that Ahalya is very innocent. She didn't know that the man who came to her is Indra. She believed it is her husband. So she is very innocent, but she is punished. Poor Ahalya. And so there is a soft corner in Kausalya's heart which also planted in Sita's heart. When Sita and Rama went to the forest, in my story, Sita met Ahalya in one corner of the forest. Then, as Ahalya sat down, Sita sat next to her. Do you know me?" Ahalya asked. "Yes, I have heard. My mother-in-law Kausalya told me the entire story." "How unjust?" Sita. "What is so unjust?" Ahalya asked matter-of-factly. "You were accused of a crime you did not commit," Sita said with sympathy. "Aren't many women in this world wrongly accused, Sita?" "But was it not outrageous in your case? After all, you did not know that he was not your husband. Do you know whether I knew this or not? Does anyone know? Sita began to say something but stopped herself. She felt dazed. Recovering, she asked hesitantly, "You mean you knew?" "That question has no meaning, Sita," Ahalya told. "But then what is the truth? If there is something called truth, wouldn't it have a meaning?" Sita was surprised and full of curiosity. Each one to their own truth. Does anyone in this world have the power to decide between truth and untruth? Looking at the mix of confusion and innocence on Sita's face, Ahalya took pity on her. "Sita, I know it is difficult to understand. I don't know why my story was told to you and how it was narrated. Indra lusted after me. Like everyone else, he too looked at women as if they are meant for men's enjoyment. Knowing that I would not surrender to his desire, he came in the hours of darkness in the guise of my husband. Did I see through his disguise? That is the question that bothers many people in this world. But to my husband, the question is irrelevant. It was the same to him either way. His property, even if temporarily, had fallen into the hands of another. It was polluted. Pollution, cleanliness, purity, impurity, honor, dishonor. Brahmin men have invested these words with such power that there is no scope in them for truth and untruth, no distinction." Ahalya stopped and asked Sita, "Why did you come to this forest, Sita?" Sita narrated her entire story. "You could not stay without Rama, and so you came after him to dwell in this forest," smiled Ahalya. "I cannot stay without him even for a day. Neither can he without me. He is unlike other men," Sita said shyly. "All men are the same, Sita, especially in the matter of their wives. My husband is not such a person. He will inquire into truth and untruth," Sita innocently told. But he does inquire, doesn't he?" Ahalya said sarcastically. Meaning? What does conducting an inquiry imply, Sita? Distrust, isn't it? Wouldn't it be better, instead, to believe in either your innocence or guilt? Sita's mind was vexed. What kind of perverse logic is this? She says there is no such thing called truth, says nobody knows it, doesn't talk about herself. Then Sita didn't understand what is the meaning of Ahalya's words. So, while leaving Sita, Ahalya placed her hand on Sita's head and blessing her said, Never agree to a trial, Sita. Don't bow down to authority." That is her Ashirvachana to Sita. Sita, after Ravana was killed, when Lakshmana came, Lakshmana's face was very pale. Sita asked him, why is your face so pale? Then Lakshmana told about Agni Pariksha. Then she remembered Ahalya's words. This inquiry, all men are same when it comes to their wives. Chastity, purity, impurity, everything Ahalya told came into the mind of Sita, and he was very much agitated. That agitation, that pain, that agony that Sita, Ahalya, in a way Surpanaka and Renuka and Urmila experienced in the times of Ramayana are still continuing to this day, to this times. So, I wrote these stories in a different way. I took all the characters from Ramayana, but these incidents or these conversations are not in Valmiki Ramayana. They are entirely my creation.
So it is also Volga's Ramayana that we see. Nabaneeta these Ramayana, Vaidehi's Ramayana. Excellent, Volga. Thank you. We meet such undaunted characters through Volga's liberation of Sita. Vaidehi, yes.
Namaskar from Karnataka. This is really a Punya Bhumi. I am today standing in Punya Bhumi. It's not only yours, it is ours also. Whether we come here or not, it is ours. It belongs to whole India. Kolkata, Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, Tagore, so many. I grew up reading Chaitanya Mahadev. Such a good bhakta, dancer and bhakta. He dances, so chanting. I am very proud to be with Nabaneeta Devsen, Nabaneeta Di, all those. I call her Nabaneeta Devsen because she is real leader, our leader she is. I always tell her Nabaneeta Devsen. From the day when I saw her, she is in my heart. I don't know why. Didi ke upar bhi वो relation, I don't know how to, relations we cannot explain, why, how, we can't explain. That's the relation, nature of relation. Whether I see her, if I talk her and don't talk her, the relation is still there. That's the real relation. And loved her. I love her. Because she herself distributes love. That is the main thing. If we distribute love, we get it back. That is the thing. And my friend Volga, she's a what to say, Agni Kanya. Such a bold writer, such a bold lady, very good lady, my friend. And we are like, well, the Shruti of mind is same. And Anuttama would be the Uttama poet.
My honor.
My Ashirvada.
I'm blessed.
And I'm very blessed to be here with you today. Namaskar. I'm going to summarize a little my story, and in the middle, I'll read the real lines. In that way, you can catch the summary of the story, not the Vishishtate of story. Vishishtate, I was, you know, Samskrita, you know on all those words. Shall I give permission to me, Didi? The story describes the plight of the couple, Lakshmanarana Bhatta and his wife Lakshmamma, caught in the violence of the partition in Delhi. These are the other kind of Rama and Sita, okay? In fact, these are not the authentic narrators of the story. The story begins with Arundhati, a research student. She is studying in Delhi, but now is visiting her town. In her major narration, we have other narrators also adding their own memories about Bhatta. In our region, we call cook Bhatta. Quite some time ago, Lakshmanarana Bhatta went with somebody to Delhi as a cook. Eventually, he opened a small hotel there. Once he came down, he got married, went back with his wife, but returned alone. It was 2 years after our independence. When we got to know him, he was already middle-aged. He had married again and had 4 children. He was a full-time cook for the families his father used to cook for. He was like a grandfather. He was like a grandfather who told children stories from Ramayana and answered hundreds of questions without any disgust. Batre, Miss Bharji, why did Rama send Sita to the forest? Oh, that. How can I explain it? When the Krauncha Pakshi died, it was destined to be so, my child. But wasn't it wrong? Wrong if you say it is wrong. Right if you say it is right. No, we persisted. Shri Hare Rama Narayana, suppose I say it is wrong, do you think Sri Ramachandra will call Sita back? And even if he did, would she go back to him? What but it is as if you are saying it is right. How can I say for sure it is right, absolutely right or wrong? If it was a slice of halwa, I could have cut it into two, right and wrong, correct. The hunter killed one Krauncha Pakshi. Where did the other go? It flew away. Where to? Look at that. It didn't strike even to Valmiki. Perhaps the other Krauncha Pakshi too died without anyone knowing. He used to sing dohas of Tulsi Ramayana like a comma, semicolon or an exclamation mark to punctuate his memories. Did dohas begin, thoughts of the partition and its horrors would somehow loom over him. If I had not seen clashes and disturbances in various mohallas of Delhi, such things would have remained bits of news items that I read in papers. I lived comfortably with my cooking, my hotel, my wife, my happy family. Till then, there was no distinctions between like this is Hindu, that is Muslim, this is ours, this is a Brahmin from South India, etc. Then one day, the duff was kept ready, bhaji was already prepared, oil was heated on the stove, and I was about to fry puris. Suddenly a crowd rushed in. I knew each of them. I saw them every day. All of them were my customers. But that particular day, they looked different. It didn't take even a minute to destroy my little hotel. It was good fortune that I didn't fall into boiling oil. They rushed in. Lakshmi was churning buttermilk, singing Achyutashtaka, Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam. They picked her up and virtually carried away. Ayyo, before my very eyes, before the very eyes of her husband. No use shouting, no use following them. Within a moment, they disappeared. I wandered forests and forests. Did I wander a little? But I didn't find her. I don't know in which Ravana's Ashokavana she is shedding tears. This is one part. When Arundhati went to interview Vishakha Ben, a Gandhian, in Delhi, she meets Lakshmamma unexpectedly. She is happy that she had found Lakshmamma. She tells her that Bhatta had searched for her far and wide but could not find her and has become eternal Dukhi. But Lakshmamma laughs at this and says, he did find me. The moment I saw him, I burst out crying. I was relieved that he had come to take me. I was crying and waiting for his call. He never called me. He put the towel on his head as a person participating in the last rites and moved away as if he had not known me. I could not believe it. I ran after him. I called him. I shouted, but nothing happened. With long strides, he went away without even trying back to look at me. Arundhati is shocked by this narration. When she calls back her to the village, Lakshmamma tells she doesn't want to live with Parapurusha. Now let us listen to the relative's narration. Wait. Did you say Lakshmamma was away for over a year? It is indeed difficult. It's indeed difficult to accept a wife who was away for one whole year. So the situation of Bhatta was not easy to handle. Why? Why is it difficult? Haven't you seen many women who accept their husbands after the return from their wanderings and carry back diseases with them? This is different. This is different and that is different. You should not mix the two. How are they different? Oh, please don't start an argument now. Poor fellow Bhatta committed suicide. We should remember that. How do you believe that Lakshmamma said was true? How do you not believe it? No, Bhatta was not wicked, not at all. Then, do you mean Lakshmama was wicked? Or that she was mad to speak like that? If you ask me, we should listen to both of them and only we can judge. Please tell me, who invited you to judge? Why should anybody invite us? Don't we have our own conscience? Poor fellow, Bhatta should have lived. No, in a way, it is good he died. No, look here, we don't want any of these. Please go to Lakshmama and ask her, tell what really happened. What do you mean by really? Truth, real. Who wants all that now? Come, let us have food and then see how much truth we really want. So saying, an elderly person concluded. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vaidehi. In fact, in her last question in her story, what really happened, we also found Volga's echo. What really happened to Ahalya? What really happened? That enquiry is redundant after such powerful texts. Now, should we continue a little bit over in the stage? Some questions. I would ask Nabaneeta Di, because while listening to her story, I was remembering another story, Nabaneeta Di, where you had created Valmiki actually creates, you are the narrator there, the immortality trap for Sita. And in spite of her realization that Ram has no love for her, because by that time she has experienced that, she still retains the marriage. She still comes back to the marriage, comes back to the man, because Valmiki convinces Sita about the immortality trap, that if you want to be an epic heroine, if you have to be an epic woman, you have to stick to it. So is that still relevant in our relationship context, Nabaneeta Di?
Don't you think it works? Still works? You may not get on well with your husband, maybe he hates you, maybe he has no respect for you, but he gives you the social status. He gives you what you need for every day. And you are Mrs. So-and-so, you've got the car, you've got this, or basically you have nothing to eat if you don't stay with him. If you're a different social status, you stick on. Because I know the women who work for us, who come from the villages to work, their husbands beat them. Their husbands take all their money away. They still stick to them, because not having a husband is a shame. Having a terrible husband is still a good thing, because you have a husband. It's a strange situation now. It's a strange situation, and it's going to take some time before a woman realizes that she is whole, that she is complete in herself, that she doesn't need a husband to complete her. But now the idea is, unless I have the other half, I'm only half.
So very true. From there, he is the better half. That half comes.
The powerful half is the better half.
Yes, actually, the powerful half is the better half. I have another question to Volga. This is basically about, not exactly about the writing that she shared with us, but also about an interview which I had read in Shoi Shabud, which was published in 2013-14 edition. There I found a very powerful interview, and as Vaidehi suggested, that Volga is a powerful, bold person. She said that I gave up being a wife because I could see that there is a clash between my wifehood and the position, as an author that I'm trying to take, there is a clash between these two. So my question to Volga is, do you really think, Volga, in our time, or maybe it is timeless, for an author to take a strong position, particularly if she is a woman author, she will have to challenge the normative structure?
I think we have to challenge. We have to challenge the structures, the traditions, the age-old customs and cultures. Unless we challenge, how could the change in to better our lives and to live with full potentials as citizens couldn't be possible. So I think, yes, we have to challenge.
That's really reassuring for many of us. And when we see Urmila in Volga story telling Sita that liberate yourself from Rama, I think that's a very important statement which we find in Volga story. Now, for Vaidehi, though she has asked me, do not ask me too many questions. She has told me that quite a few times. But I have a very, a question about your life also, Vaidehi, because I have read in your interview also in Shoi Shoman, and thank you, Nabaneeta Di, for providing me with that book. We find there...
Both of them had Shoi Shoman.
Yes. So in that book we read about Kundapura, your life there, and you talk about women from various contexts, from various trajectory. They shared their experiences. In your big house they used to come. How did you meet Lakshmamma?
I met Lakshmamma actually in the autobiography of Kamaladevi Chattopadhyay. The inner recesses, outer spaces. She was explaining about the rehabilitation of those days. Okay. And by that time, the Ayodhya tragedy was happened, and I had some disturbance, a severe disturbance within me, and a shapeless anxiety yearned to be expressed. And I have grown up in the Antapura. I've seen so many painful moments of women, all summed up. And in my family, it's a big family. In my family, Ramayana is always in the air. My father wouldn't touch his food until he read his one adhyaya in Valmiki Ramayana and one adhyaya in Tulsi Ramayana. After finishing only he would touch his food. And my elder sisters, they were also reading Ramayana, and whenever they get tired, Shri Ram, according to the intensity of, it's always there.
Shri Ram, the last words. Yeah.
And we always used to discuss about Ramayana, and there will be two parties, one of Rama and other is Sita, just for the truth of knowing truth, okay? And every day the Ramayana got rebirth in our minds. Such Ramayana is so near, and Valmiki and we thought Valmiki and Tulsi Das are the friends of our father. So they were our dear and near ones too.
Dear neighbors.
Yeah, it has become so. That's why. Okay. And this story got this ayama, this dimension, because of a cook. That cook is our close to our family, and he was coming to the special occasions to prepare special dishes, and suddenly he will stop his work and go inside and sleep, and he will suffer like a wounded bird, by half an hour he will be all right and comes back and continues his work. And his face was so this forlorn face, very, very sad, very long, Koyasa Chehra. This also added. We cannot tell the Pradna Pravaha of a story, where it comes, where it ends, from where it gets the roots. All this sums up. And in our town, there are so many disturbances, so many suicides of girls, college-going girls, because of community, this one, communal this one. All this adds and becomes a story.
That's so true, because we keep meeting Sitas across the boundaries, across the language. One more question I have, which I would like to share with Nabaneeta Di, because she started the journey of reconstruction of Ramayana, so I can't really stop myself from knowing this. I'm intrigued to know what compelled you, or what was there in Sita which evoked you to think of her as the, protagonist, and you started work, because even in your academic work we repeatedly see this reference. So what was there, Nabaneeta Di, for which you decided to take Sita?
I wonder. I'd been working on the Valmiki Ramayana for many years, on the Sanskrit technical construction. So while I was reading the Ramayana, I was continuously seeing how I felt angry with Sita as well as with Ram and Lakshmana. The best is probably Lakshmana among the three. But so someone slowly, then after that my marriage broke, etc., etc. And I felt all the more how it is important for a woman to be herself. And Sita, poor woman, did get the chance to be herself. She was pushed into a position when she had to be herself. I suppose we all are pushed in a position, but I want the young women not to be pushed, but to choose to be oneself. Not to be pushed into that position, but to be, it should not be a push, it should be a choice. And I have not only written about Sita, I have written about Shurpanaka, I have written about Amba, I have written about Shakuntala, Shottavati. Lots of women I have written about, but
Sita has been there.
yeah, Sita, yes. Yes, it's as I don't know, as because as she says, you said, Ramayana keeps coming back in everyday life. Hare Ram comes back. Somehow the anger also comes back.
That's wonderful. Should we open it for the floor now? Yeah, should we open it for the floor now? Okay, so we'll take few questions from the floor. We have urban Indian women who are actually reconstructing Ramayana on their day-to-day life as well. So I'll take it. Yes, I can see one hand there.
Ramayana, there are about 108 versions, printed versions existing. That is the situation. In MP, I've seen in a library that man has collected like that. So there are different stories. And in Indonesia and the eastern places, there is also a great faith in Ramayana. The Muslims there, they respect the Ramayana very much. That is the situation today. Now what from your talks I got, that the wife with husband is not treated so well at all. And when the same person is mother, we treat with great respect. But when she becomes wife and something wrong happens, then that thing is taken in a very different situation. So how all these things are there? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Though only one mic is working in the stage for some reason, but doesn't matter. Thank you so much for your comment, sir. That's really a thoughtful comment. Any other question from the floor for our panelists? Yes, I can see another hand. Can we have the mic there, please? There.
I'm not a sexist nor a misogynist, but what I have learned is that in underdeveloped countries where the education is not very high, women are subjugated, there's a lot of pressure. But then I wonder, like once I'm grown, when I see the European nations, when I see the American countries like USA, Canada, Australia, like over there women are free for the last 70, 80 years. But then it makes me wonder that why don't at the top levels like prime ministers and presidents, why don't women take the role in these countries? You have only few like Margaret Thatcher in the UK or the Australian prime minister, but still when the whole world is free from them, why aren't women coming up? So it makes me think, is it that they really don't want to?
Okay, I would take this question for Volga because her, prestigious award-winning writing Swecha is about political position of women. So,
No, nowadays women also, even in Western countries or in our countries, South Asian countries, women are mainly seen as mothers, wives and daughters, fit into their roles, but not seen as citizens of the country. If we see women as citizens, their role will change entirely. They will participate into the day-to-day activities of the society, into the governance, into institutions. Then the society will change. But the age-old traditions kept them in their patriarchal roles of mother, wife, and daughter. They have first fulfilled these roles, and then they have to go outside to do anything, either as a prime minister. When the first Hindu Code bill was introduced in the parliament, leaders like Suchitra Krupalani told to the men parliamentarians that even after Hindu Code bill was passed, we will cook the food in the house and come to the parliament. They have to tell that. So women are in that position, those roles of cooking, caring are the major roles which nowadays women must give it up. Men and women should share those household work, or for a change, men should take that role for some time.
Thank you so much, Volga. I would like to thank Nabaneeta Di, Vaidehi, Volga, Shoei once again for creating this platform with KLM. And in this political scenario where divine patriarchal conspiracies are announcing surgical strikes against Sitas, I'm proud of the women over here for their wonderful writings and their spirit. I think we would end today's session with that spirit. Thank you all.